Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's a saying I had to learn to embody at an early age. Growing up, I was a shy and sensitive kid, which made school, especially elementary school, quite challenging. Those years can be tough. You're growing, trying to make friends, and figuring out the basics of socializing. During this time, teasing and roughhousing was quite common. Dealing with all that was annoying, but the thing that left the biggest mark was the first time someone called me ugly. At the time, I was a little chubby. This was right before puberty, which is normal, but it made me feel pretty self-conscious. I was starting to develop crushes on girls, and the one thing I noticed was that the boys the girls usually liked had one thing in common. They were skinny. Of course, one might think, just diet and exercise, but keep in mind, I was a kid and I really didn't know what I was doing. One day I was hanging out with my older cousins outside their house. There was a girl my age who lived across the street. We had never spoken, but we knew of each other. I thought she was cute, but I didn't have the courage to talk to her. My cousins must have noticed my small crush and thought it would be funny to let the girl know, without my permission. One day, while we were all outside, they shouted, "Hey, my cousin likes you." The girl smiled and asked, "Who's your cousin?" Almost as if she was curious but wanted to know what I looked like first. "Him," my cousins yelled, pointing at me. Her smile vanished. She rolled her eyes and said, "Ew, he's ugly." My cousins laughed. I tried to pretend it didn't bother me, but in reality, it really did. It's one thing to be made fun of by people you care less about, but it's another thing when it's someone you like. Eventually, I started middle school, at a new school. There were many new faces, and as many of you know, middle school can be a lot harder than elementary school. I was still a bit chubby and going through puberty. Needless to say, I was definitely not a ladies' man. I eventually developed a crush on this girl in my class. She happened to be the popular girl in school that everyone liked. She must have caught wind of the fact that I liked her, and when she found out, I overheard her talking about how ugly I was. What made it worse was a lot of her friends, who were also popular and attractive, agreed and even chimed in. Discovering this really bugged me. I became extremely critical of my appearance. I felt unlovable and unwanted. As puberty progressed, I grew taller, lost weight, and became more active in sports. Things started to change. I began receiving attention from girls, and for the first time in my life, I discovered I was someone's crush. The popular girl in school even developed a crush on me. While all of this was flattering, I couldn't ignore the fact that my value was tied to my appearance. People started to compliment my kindness and humor, but they only seemed to notice all of that once I got, quote-unquote, more attractive. I couldn't help but wonder, do they really like me for who I am, or is it just for how I look? Looking back, I appreciate those difficult years. Though painful, they taught me a lot about people and myself. I learned that society can be really superficial, but I also realized the importance of being with someone who values me for more than just my appearance. I may be selective, and sometimes I can be a bit lonely, but I would much rather be alone than with someone in a shallow relationship. After all, my worth is much more than just my appearance, and I've grown to embrace that.